ladies and gentlemen, we've got a bit of an issue for us to talk about today, and that is going to be some problems that are in Augusta's kit. Because my, oh my, this unit has a little bit of clunk in her trunk when it comes to actual gameplay, and while there are some solutions that are able to solve the issue, there are probably some ones that you're not very aware of. So what I wanted to do today was actually start breaking down what some of those potential problems are, and why they're going to be a potentially big impact on your gameplay. So here's my Augusta over here. You can see she has a pretty damn good build. Some would say close to perfect. Just need a little bit more critical damage on a couple of echo rolls, but yeah, you know, with crit rates, etc., attack that looks like this, she's meant to do a ton of damage. Right? The real issue that I'm going to be talking about over here isn't necessarily her damage, but another resource instead. And it might be easy just for me to show you exactly what I'm talking about over here. So we're going to have this TOA team essentially ready to go, a very vanilla one that most players are probably going to be using. You could use Verena instead, but the idea over here is to just demonstrate, using a team that most people are going to be using, what the problem actually is. So we're just going to be going ahead, doing a bit of a casual rotation over here against Fleur de Lis, who is one of the first bosses available in the TOA right now in the middle tower. So we're just going to rotate through the kit, get our Concerto ready to go, and then go ahead, swap on over to our Mortefi. From here, we're going to build up Concerto on him. And of course, right, be able to use our Liberation. And then go in on Augusta. Not too many issues here, right? My first rotation is looking pretty good. Getting everything I want to. All the outro skills are up, and I've done all of my damage. Right? The second rotation, however, is where the issues start beginning. So, let's just go ahead. Get the whole process going again. We're just going to be doing the same exact stuff, except, you know, she's broken this time. And now, here we go. What are you noticing about my Augusta right now? You should be noticing something. She doesn't have enough energy to cast her second or her first Liberation. And that is actually going to have a bunch of issues with your overall rotation. So that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like when I was just going through and rotating throughout her kit. Very, very, very normally. And this is the issue. This is the problem. When Augusta has about 120 ER, that's not enough for her to just run her baseline rotation without spicing it up a little bit. And so the solution for you is pretty simple, right? You might just want to go ahead and get maybe 5 to 10% more ER, and then you'll be able to rotate pretty well. In most situations for a DPS, nobody usually needs more than 120% ER. Frolova like naturally needs 0, but if this is like a DPS character, think like your Zhonnies, think like your Carlottas, etc., so on and so forth, your Camelias, your Zhang Liaos, your Jinxies. These characters are typically always pretty good with 120. So it would feel a bit off if Augusta wasn't really operating properly at 120. And so the solution, like I mentioned before, you could just get more ER, but that can be a really hard thing to do on a set like this, and especially balance it with your double crit. Because, well, it's hard to roll exactly 3 substats in particular that you want. ER, in this case, almost feels mandatory, because otherwise, what's going to occur is that if you spend time across Augusta's rotation getting that energy back, then chances are Mortefi's outro skill will actually just go ahead and fall off in the middle of it. So, let's demonstrate what it looks like and how it can actually impact your clear times when you're not really doing anything about it. One thing you gotta make sure you do in between TOA clears with this character, you gotta wait 4 seconds before starting, because otherwise Augusta's not gonna get her points. So I keep falling for that. It keeps occurring. It happens almost every single time. Yeah, wait 4 seconds before starting another TOA run. So yep, we're gonna be doing this all over again, getting to that second rotation, and seeing what the consequences are when we don't manage our ER properly.
Feel my wrath. Conquest begins now.
All right, Augusta unfortunately got interrupted there, but we were able to get off our rotation in time. So yeah, we have all the outro skill buffs. Everything's looking good. Now let's begin rotation number 2. So we're just going ahead, having a jolly good old time.
Inferno, feel my wrath. Testing. This is my
Okay, we managed to get enough ER there. But you can see over there the level of inconsistency, where we got it on that clear, and then we didn't have it on the other one. And chances are, when you're building up that ER, Mortefy's outro skill is going to fall off, and your ultimate will end up dealing way less damage. And so, to avoid all of these issues, have no problems at all, instead of grinding your echoes, here's what you can do instead across your gameplay. For a 120% ER Augusta to have no issues at all for the foreseeable future. So this is going to be the tech, and it's going to involve the use of your echo skill. Because one thing about Augusta's echo skill that I think is really, really, really important to mention is that it actually has 2 charges. And each charge only has an 8-second cooldown. And so I think that some of like her lower energy costs are kind of like actually built into her kit. And the idea is that you're going to be using this echo skill pretty regularly across your teammates' rotation to, well, streamline the ER process. So let's do it again, incorporating that echo skill. Let's show what it looks like when we're using these echo skills properly and we're finding the right slots for them. Don't worry, I practiced this, even if my chatters tell you otherwise. So your Shorekeeper's rotation is going to look pretty solid compared to the prior rotations. You're not going to do anything different. It's when Mortefy takes the field, that's where stuff's going to get a little bit spicy. Across his rotation, you'll use this as an opportunity to use Augusta and her echo skill. And then the second opportunity to use her echo skill is after she does all of her slashes. So you just pop it over here. See the animation? And then, unfortunately, we only hit with about 1 tick of it. Make sure you're close to the enemy when you're casting it. And this is where you'll use it on the second rotation. And it's really important to use it here. And now,
as you wish.
you can see over here, even after we use them, we're still a little bit short, but we only had to make up a little bit more energy. And now we have everything we need. You can see that even after using those 2 echo skills, the energy regen on this character can feel really, really, really inconsistent. And even when we use both of them, because on that first echo skill that we used, we only hit with like 1 tick of it and we didn't hit with like the 4 that it usually does, then, well, we were a little bit short on energy. And we made it up. We only took about like a half second to generate that last little bit, and we were good on 120 ER. But you can clearly see over here that she's barely making it. Sometimes with a regular rotation, she's able to get all of her ER without using her echo skill, but we're cutting it really, really, really close. When? Well, we're just at 120. The last method that we'll be talking about for Augusta's ER is actually going to be through your sub DPS's echo set. And this is kind of the dynamic that's going to be playing out over here. I've been using Empyrean Anthem for my Mortefy, right? Because of its big buffs to coordinated attack damage. However, you can sacrifice some of the personal damage of your sub DPS and just go ahead, right? And put them on Moonlit Clouds, which is not that great on Mortefy because he does so much coordinated attack damage. But what it will do is give you access to the Impermanence Heron. And this is the thing. The Impermanence Heron actually has a little bit of ER refund built into its active skill. And that can help you get your liberation, your first liberation back on Augusta without doing some of the Echo skill shenanigans. So we'll try this one out as well. Because once the initial attack of this Echo lands on any enemy, the current character regains 10 resonance energy. And so you can actually activate this Echo skill, swap to your Augusta, and she will gain that 10 resonance energy. So yeah, that's something that can actually work. Let's show you all what it looks like in practice. And just as a bit of a quick reminder, this is going to be our 120 ER Augusta that we'll be showcasing with this tech. So let's give this one a bit of a try. All right, just going through, rotating through our team. We made sure to wait 4 seconds this time so that we could get our Majesty point. There we go. And now we got our liberation. Boom. And now we're going to use the Shorekeeper over here. And then just keep going. And so here, right? None of that swapping tech. But we are going to have the Impermanence Heron. And as you can see, right? That, well, it appears that it works. Because we now have resonance energy as well. So you've got a bunch of different ways to work through some of these issues. With the 120% ER Augusta, you've got Echoes, you've got Augusta's Echoes, you've got your sub DPS's Echoes, and you've also got her build. So while this might be a concern for a lot of people, and it is something you are going to have to get used to if you want the highest performance possible out of her teams, do keep that in mind. I will say, though, and this is a really important condition, this whole Moonlit Clouds tech, all of that I'm talking about over here, I wouldn't rely on this one too much. And one of the big reasons for that is you might want to actually upgrade Mortefi in the future by pulling a Yuno. And the thing is, Yuno is not going to be using Moonlit Clouds unless you feel like really griefing the team's overall damage output. Yuno is going to be using, well, Crown of Valor. So if you really do want like the most sustainable options for the near future, I would dare say practice using the Echo skill method on Augusta, using it during like a teammate's rotation and getting the ER that way. Because let's just be honest here, this only works with one Echo on one set, and a lot of people might not actually be using Moonlit on their sub DPSs. And so this is kind of like, I would consider this to be the most band-aid of band-aid solutions. Just kind of like practice using Augusta's Echo skill. It has multiple charges for a reason. That is my main suggestion for people, and I think it's going to be the most sustainable in the long run. So that's a tip for players if you don't want to go on the Echo grinding journey to grab more ER, because A, if you're at like 130, you're not going to have to worry about those Echo skill shenanigans. But this is another thing to also think about as well. If you're running on 120 ER and using the Echo skill, well, let's be honest, guys, you're maximizing the damage of the rotation as well, because Echo skills deal damage. I know this isn't a lot, but it's still like around 220% motion value. You're using this twice versus not using it at all. And that's effectively around 440% motion value that you're like not using across your rotation if you don't actually activate this multiple times. So yeah, I guess in a way it does promote you to like play better, to have like the best feeling Augusta, but you know, it does add a little bit of complexity in your kit. So yeah, this thing's got 2 charges. You're going to want to activate it regularly if you're at 120 ER. And the one thing that I'll say is on this team, you should only be activating it during this sub DPS's rotation. The reason why is because Shorekeeper or your Verena are typically going to be the ones that, well, receive Augusta's outro skill. And Augusta's outro skill is very, very, very specific that whoever receives Augusta's outro, which in this case is always a shorekeeper or a Verena, they can't swap out. Otherwise, Augusta's not going to have her Majesty and Crown of Will stack. And if she doesn't have this, I'm going to be honest, guys, you can't play her. You're never going to be able to use your second Liberation in a rotation if you don't have the Majesty and the Crown of Will's buff. So, yeah, never swap from your support, like your shorekeeper or your Verena, to your Augusta to use that echo skill. Otherwise, you'll lose out on this resource. And I'm gonna be honest, you're gonna have to restart because Augusta without her liberation is not really a character and you won't be able to cast it without this. So yeah, that is that one for some of the mechanics that you're going to be seeing over here. And yeah, hopefully this overview, hopefully this, you know, a lot of the solutions that we provided, you're actually going to be able to use in your gameplay. And the goal of this naturally, right, is that if you have an Augusta that looks like this, it's to make you feel like you're not, you know, you don't feel the need to rebuild because you don't. You just got to modify how you're using her on the field. So yeah, that's that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if this was helpful and peace out.